Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Trainer Talk. So today we're going to be talking about what you should focus on for your first month or two in training. When you're first starting out in the gym or with a new program or a nutrition plan, whatever it may be, what should you focus on? Many people, almost everybody, focuses on their end goal first. So if their goal is to lose weight, they're focusing on weight loss immediately when they start the program. If your goal is to build muscle, they're focusing on gaining muscle immediately. And what we want to talk about today is kind of changing that mindset. Those are what's going to come with your program, so you shouldn't be focusing on them solely from the beginning. What you actually want to focus on is building the habits and the consistency in order to achieve that goal. That's not going to come in the first month. I'm not going to lose, all the body fat and all the weight that I want to lose long term in my first month anyways. So what I need to do is focus on what habits do I need to incorporate into my lifestyle on a daily basis in order to achieve the end goal that I want. So today we're going to talk about what habits and how to kind of structure out a plan in order to achieve your end goal.
I think something that people don't take into account when they first start is the newbie gains or beginner gains, because if you've never worked out before or haven't worked out in, say, a year or longer, you can get some incredible gains of muscle while losing fat in that beginning first 1 to 2, even more months after that. And there might not be a lot of change in the scale, but your body will be changing dramatically. So as long as you're sticking to the plan and doing something is better than what you were doing prior, so you are going to see results from that. And even if the scale isn't moving, you can take different measurements. You can focus on gaining strength in the gym and improving technique, focusing on those things rather than just the scale.
Yeah, so when Taylor talks about you want to build new habits, we're talking about building the habit of drinking water, eating right 80% of the time, working out consistently. But one thing that I kind of suggest is starting with really small habits that maybe don't even have anything to do with working out, because what happens is when you try to build a new habit, what you're doing is you're making a promise to yourself that, I'm going to work out 5 days a week, every single week. And if you don't do that, if you don't hit that habit, then you are breaking that promise to yourself, and then you feel defeated, you feel like a failure, and then you give up. So what I always suggest is start with something really small. It can be literally like making your bed every single morning. And if you can accomplish that small habit, then you can lead to a bigger one, or brushing your teeth 2 times a day if you don't already do that, or something like that, just to kind of get you in the start of keeping a promise to yourself. And then you can start with, okay, now I'm going to work out 2 days a week or even 1 day a week for 30 minutes, and then build on top of that.
Yeah, for sure. Starting out with small habits is what I was going to say. Too many people just, they start going to the gym, maybe they start cleaning up their diet a little bit, and then they just constantly watch the scale. They might step on the scale every single morning and maybe even every single night, and they're just waiting for the scale to go down, and that's all their focus is on. Or they're flexing in the mirror every morning or every afternoon, waiting for their muscles to be big. But what they really need to do is kind of break it down and take a step back and say, okay, if I want to lose 40 pounds this year, what do I need to do or focus on in order to do so? So you're not focusing all your attention to just the number on the scale. You need to say, okay, what do I need to do with my nutrition every day? Maybe I should start focusing on meal prepping or eating a healthy breakfast, and consistently do that for, like she said, maybe you can do that 5 days a week, every week. And once you build that habit of eating breakfast every day, then you add in the next new habit. So, most of us are going to recommend working out. So if you can maybe wake up 30 minutes earlier and get your workout in, and you want to be able to do that 4 or 5 days a week, maybe three at least to start out. Once you can do that consistently for a couple of weeks, then you can add a new habit in. So you want to try to focus on small little habits and get them kind of down to where it's automatic, where it's not super hard to do. It just becomes kind of a natural part of your day, and then you start adding in more habits. And what's going to happen is, since you're just focusing on what you actually need to do, the weight will come off or the muscle will gain. So you don't just focus on the results immediately. You need to focus on what's it going to take to achieve those results, and focus your attention there. Another thing I'll say is, you really need to focus on what you're doing outside of the gym. Way too many people think that they need to come in here and just burn as many calories as possible, just destroy their body for an hour every single day in order to either build a bunch of muscle or lose a bunch of weight. And actually, it's what you do outside of the gym that's going to be way more effective than just what's in the gym. For me, if I want to build a bunch of muscle, I can come in here and lift all the heavy weights I want for 2 hours a day, but if I'm under eating calories and protein, and if I'm not sleeping, I will actually probably lose muscle. So it's all about your nutrition and your sleep and your recovery that's going to determine the results that you get. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're coming in here and you're putting yourself through a torturous, Metcon for 45 minutes every day, but then you're eating 1,000 calories more than what you need, you're going to gain fat instead of lose fat. So you need to really pay attention to, okay, how many calories do I need? I know I need some protein, so I'm going to focus on that for the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. And as long as I'm getting some training in, I'm going to start to see some progress.
Yeah, I think breaking down into something smaller, instead of just focusing, say, all on macronutrients and trying to perfect everything, like you said, focusing on calories and protein first, and then worrying about other things. That's kind of what we do as coaches, is we layer in different habits and have them build on top of each other. One thing that you can kind of do, let's say you want to get to, being fit and healthy, get leaner, and you want to build muscle and strength, all of that great stuff. You have to kind of think, what does that person do, that version of me do, that I'm not doing right now? And then you can kind of self-answer that for yourself, of saying, okay, well, they're probably not binging on the weekend, they're not, restricting themselves during the week and then going out and partying all weekend or anything like that. They have more balance. They might still do that, but just in a better way, a little bit more sustainable way that supports their goals. So you gotta twist the mindset a little bit there. And I like with the habits, it builds so you don't have to use discipline or motivation to get your goals. So having those habits in place, you don't have to keep relying on willpower and motivation to get things done. A lot of people can kind of push through for the first 4 or 6 weeks. If you have a challenge or you're really motivated, you can kind of push through that. But if you don't focus on building the habits and setting up your environment for more success, then you're not going to be successful long term.
Yeah, a lot of times when I work with clients, I tell them just to focus on the workouts and not even worry about nutrition right away, because a lot of times what can happen is if you're trying to work out and eat perfect, you will burn out, you will just hate yourself, and it's just too hard at first for you to kind of do everything at one time. So a lot of times for the first sometimes 3 weeks to 4 weeks with working with a client, I say, okay, just get your workouts in, however many we set for them each week. Get your workouts in, and then we'll talk about nutrition at the end of the month. And a lot of times what kind of naturally happens is once you start working out, you want to eat better, because you're like, okay, I'm doing all this hard work, I'm putting my body through all these really intense workouts, I don't want to put crap into my body anymore. So then when we come back to talk about nutrition, you're kind of already at a better mindset with it. You want to fuel your body properly, and then it's easier to kind of start those better nutrition habits. But again, if you do it from the beginning, it can just be an overload, and you can kind of experience burnout, and just nothing really good comes from that.
Yes. I'm glad that both of you brought up those points. So I'm going to put those together with motivation and then doing too much too quickly. So when you start out, you're extremely motivated, you're fired up, you're ready to do this new program or this new challenge, whatever it is. But then you go out too hot and you try to do everything possible. You completely change your nutrition. You're working out 5 days a week. You're going to burn out, you're going to get overwhelmed, and then you're not going to be motivated anymore. So what you want to do is motivation, it does not last very long at all. You're motivated for the first couple days, and it's going away. We are not motivated every single day when we wake up can't wait to do this 2-hour workout and extremely hard metcon. That doesn't happen. So if you're starting out, the way to keep yourself keep the momentum going and keep yourself motivated is to get some quick wins. Like just get those 3 workouts in every week for 2 weeks, and then if you can accomplish that little goal, that is what kind of sparks you, keeps you going, and motivates you. And then you move to the next thing. Okay, like she said, once you start working out, you don't need to focus on nutrition right away or completely changing your diet, because naturally, like she said, when you're working out, you're gonna start to make little changes. You're not gonna do a crazy hard workout and then go home and have, McDonald's for dinner. Like, it's just not really typically gonna happen. You're automatically gonna make a little bit smarter choices. And then you just figure out, okay, what's the next most important thing? Like, what do I struggle with the most? And focus on those things. And then after you can build those habits, you just start slowly adding more in. I mean, I've been working out for over 10 years now, and there's still habits that I'm incorporating into my regimen. And it takes years to build some of these habits or routines that are in your life. Like, we all have probably adopted new things in our lifestyle since meeting each other and just discussing our programs and all that stuff. Caitlin never did CrossFit until she met me. Bethany didn't do CrossFit until she started here with me. She already knew about it, and that's how she got hired, was we started talking about CrossFit. She said she wanted to be a trainer. She started working here. And then throughout the couple years that we've all been here, we've started to develop our own new routines. And so we're slowly adding things in, and we've been at this for years and years. So don't think that you're going to be able to add it all in right in the first month or two. It's going to take time. What I would recommend is just focusing on, what's the most important thing to me right now, or what do I struggle with the most? If you're somebody that does not like working out or has never worked out, maybe that is the first thing that you should focus on, is just getting those workouts in, and try to maybe find out what you enjoy to do too. You don't have to hate what you're doing. You should enjoy it a little bit, get those quick wins, and then move to the next thing that you need to do.
Yeah, I think the ideal place to get with habits is to the point where if you don't work out, or if you don't have your meals that you usually have, it feels weird.
Yes.
Or if you don't get, you're not in bed at 9 o'clock at, weeknights and on the weekends, then it feels weird, right? So, I mean, for me, the last week it's been really weird because I haven't been able to work out due to this, and just being cautious in that. But it's definitely different because your mindset kind of has to change around it, because it's not really always for performance or for fat loss or for muscle gain. Sometimes you just want to work out because you want to have that habit and you want to do it, right? And just have the feeling of working out, you get that endorphin rush and everything after, and you want to get to the place where those habits are so ingrained that it just feels wrong if you don't do them.
Yeah, I mean, I think for all of us now, and it hasn't always been like this, but we don't even think about, are we going to work out today? Unless we're extremely sore, or it's the weekend and we've just got other things going on. But Monday through Thursday at least, we don't even think about, it's not even a question if we're going to work out. But I mean, we didn't start that way. We started out by having to kind of force ourselves to get into it and force ourselves to do it and create that habit. But it is literally an almost daily habit now where we don't think about it, we just do it. And I don't know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing, with not just focusing all your attention on, if your goal is to lose 40 pounds, don't just focus on, when am I going to get to that 40-pound mark? Watching the scale, especially if you're making progress in other areas. That's one thing that I almost dislike very much when I see clients that come in and they're just unhappy with the way that they look and feel. They maybe lack a bunch of energy. They're not very confident in themselves. They're self-conscious, And then as they start working out, all of a sudden they have a boost of energy. They feel much better. Their work is improving. They're able to do a lot more in the day, but then they still get discouraged because the weight's not coming off. They're focusing on that one thing. So another tip that I have for anybody starting out is don't just focus on the things that aren't going right. Focus on all the things that are going well. If you're eating better, reward yourself. That is a win for you. You should be happy about changing your nutrition to where you're doing much, much better than you were in the past. Even if the weight isn't coming off yet, because it will over time, because you're building that habit. So I would definitely say try to avoid focusing all your attention on the things that aren't going as well, and try to really reward yourself, or just appreciate and feel accomplished for the things that you are doing right when it comes to starting a workout program or a nutrition plan or a combination of both.
Yeah, a big thing is focusing on what you can control, because when you start off, you almost want to like will the scale to go down, or you want to will the inches to come off your waist or your muscles to grow. And you really can't control how fast that comes, but you can control what you do day to day. Even though people might say that they can't, because they'll throw out a bunch of different things, because they'll say they're very busy and they have kids and they have to make dinners for their kids and they have all these other things going on. And we understand that everyone's situation is different. They're not like us, where our lives are pretty much centered around health and fitness, but there's a lot of busy people out there that make it happen. And they work 12 hours a day, manual labor jobs, and they still somehow come in and work out, and they still make their nutrition plan work and get at least enough sleep to make their progress. So finding those little things of like, all right, what can I control? What am I in control of? And then taking that ownership of how am I going to set myself up so that way I do complete these goals in the future, but kind of letting go of how fast it comes.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. And I just read a quote that I really liked. It said, "Stop complaining about things you're capable of changing or fixing," because people come to us with a million excuses, and in the back of our mind, we're just saying you're not the only person that has these same obstacles in life, like not enough time, or you don't have the energy, et cetera, et cetera. You are capable of changing that lifestyle. Like everybody, there are people out there that can do it, and you can do it too. So you just have to make the decision to sit down and come up with a plan in order to actually achieve the goal. And the only way to do that is if your goal means enough to you. People come to us all the time saying they want to lose 50 pounds, but they don't want it bad enough to have to work out 3 days a week or change their nutrition. So unfortunately, those people will never probably achieve their goal. So you really have to dig deep and find out, okay, what do I want to achieve and why do I actually want to achieve it? And you need to dig deep with this. And I say this all the time, but if you're a parent, your kids should be the number one priority, and that should be your motivator right there. I couldn't imagine living right now without both my parents, so I can't imagine your kids would want to live without you. So that should be enough motivation right there to get started with something and stick to that plan, make those changes in your life to where you can actually achieve the goal that you want to achieve.
I think, especially for parents, like your kids will imitate you,
Yes.
whatever you do. You're setting the example. Kids know how to imitate, but they don't really know how to, explain certain things or why they're imitating certain things. They're not necessarily conscious of it. They just kind of do whatever you're doing because they're learning from you, because you're the person that's the biggest influence in their life, especially in those first 5 years of their life before they go off to school. So setting those habits early and showing that, hey, I'm active, I'm taking care of my body by having proper nutrition, it sets them up for being able to do that later on too. But if you have bad habits of not working out, just watching TV after work and ordering McDonald's and Pizza Hut, whatever, all the time, then that's the habits that they see, and then that's what they're going to imitate, and it doesn't really set them up for success in the future. Not that they can't unlearn those habits and go a different direction, but it's definitely harder, and it's better if they start off with that good relationship with food, with exercise, and they have that good role model to kind of go off of.
One thing I was going to say, backtrack a little bit, when Taylor was talking about the scale, make sure you're taking multiple forms of progress by, if you can get in here and do the in-body scale to get your body fat, muscle mass, and then do measurements and especially progress photos. It's something that I kind of forgot to do with some of my beginning clients when I first started working, but that I've incorporated now. And just for example, I had a client who we did the in-body scale. We were super excited about it because even I could tell that she was changing. And we did the in-body, and the weight was down, but not down a ton. The body fat was down a little bit, but not a ton. But we took her progress photos, and there was a very big difference. And so we were like, okay, like, and then Bethany, I kind of asked her about it, like her opinion, and she was like, a picture's worth 1,000 words, which is so true. And we could tell she was stronger, she felt better, she was able to keep up with her kids more. So going back to that, and just overall, like, her lifestyle has improved so much. And you know, the scale didn't hardly change, even the body fat for some reason didn't hardly change, but she just looks different and feels so much better. So you cannot just focus on the scale and on weight loss.
Yeah, different units of measurement for your results. So it could be body fat percentage, it could be muscle mass gain, it could be just your energy level or your confidence level. We've had probably half a dozen clients that started with us that were pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic, and now they're not, which is a huge win. So that is very, very cool. And then, not to mention, like, kind of putting both of those things together, when these people do achieve these results and they have that energy and they just feel better about themselves, their kids are going to see that and they're going to start mimicking that. Like, you know, when you're growing up, your mom and dad are like your superheroes, and you're pretty much going to do whatever they do. So if you're living a life of the sedentary lifestyle, eating fast food, and you're overweight, there's a very, very good chance your kids are going to be overweight. And not just overweight, but you got to remember, a kid that's overweight in school is most likely going to be self-conscious. They're not going to be motivated to do anything. They're not going to want to play sports maybe. So you need to really think about that and try to do what's best for them to motivate them and have them develop discipline and confidence in themselves. So I think that's really powerful, and we've seen that a lot in the last year or two, is parents that have brought their kids in just to watch them work out, and then all of a sudden they start working out. It's happened with a ton of parents actually. Now they have their kids coming in and they're doing classes or joining them in fit camp, or they're just joining the gym and working out in the gym. So trust me when we say this, like, they are watching and they're gonna do whatever you do. So I think that wraps up this episode. We definitely kind of spiraled into different topics, but now you should have a good idea of what to focus on for the first month or two and why you should do it too. Just so you know, like, we don't really write out a script for any of these. Like, we literally just write down what's the main thing we want to talk about, and then we kind of just spiral off each other. We bounce ideas off each other, and that's kind of what makes the episodes great, I think. So we were able to cover a lot of different stuff in this episode. Hopefully this helps. If you need help getting started, or if you just want a plan developed for you, don't hesitate to reach out. We can sit down for 15 minutes with you and help you come up with a plan, or get you started with a challenge, whatever it may be. So until then, make sure you like and subscribe, and stay healthy, guys. Bye.